modern channel on the Redstripe, and this channel gets a lot of gripe, okay? And so that's why I'm making this video, as well as just documenting my artist journey to prove that I'm not AI. But and I'm new to everything, but I'm trying to be a little bit more professional. So this is a SM57 on the Studio Pro, and this is a SM57. But so the speaker is a Intimates Legend, and it's like their version of a greenback. So that's what's in this. But I have a Redstripe special, and when I'm talking about the settings for the Redstripe, I mean, this works for all the Redstripes except the Rage. And if you want to see a video on that, let me know. But so I want to really talk about the high gain channel and the modern channel. And the reason we're not going to talk too much about the vintage channel. The same settings apply for the high gain channel as the vintage channel, honestly, for the best tone. But I like the vintage sound, vintage gain sound of the high gain channel more than the vintage channel. It just has more low end information and clearer sound. The gain sounds clearer, and the sizz is it has a little more attitude, I guess, but it's still vintage gain. It's still classic rock. Okay, so, and I'm gonna have, hopefully I'm gonna be professional and have the settings come up. And so I had the pre-gain almost to 2 on this. Okay, we're gonna do the setting for the vintage gain. Okay. And I have the pre-gain almost at 2 on the high gain channel. And I have the lows almost at 9. I'm talking like beside the dots or right on the dots are my settings, okay? So almost at 9. And I had the mids almost at 6. I love to push the mids a little bit. It helps. And I have the highs right past 6, okay? And have whatever the volume, the taste, which I have pretty freaking high. And have the reverb to taste. I like a lot of reverb, and with classic rock, you need a little bit of reverb for real. And the T dynamics is important, dude. I love the T dynamics. I love the T dynamics knob because I have special places that I like to put the T dynamics knob. It does like 3 things, okay? It clips, it attenuates, and it compresses. And I used to really like the compressor in the Lab Series solid state thing amps. I mean, that helped to make that amp sound like a tube amp for real. That's the only compressor I really like. It's like inductive compression, something anyway. But anyway, so the T dynamics in the power amp section of these solid state amps are awesome, I'm telling you. And for the vintage, I like to put it right at 40, right at that dot. I don't know why that is for like lower gain stuff. Right at that 40% mark, I get it compresses the mids in the perfect spot. I don't know how to really explain it. Takes off some of the solid state top end, like a good amount of it, and thickens the note. Just the perfect spot for classic rock. Okay, did I get it right? Oh. Yep, T dynamics right at 40. Sounds so nice and clear. Amazing. Let's turn it to the vintage thing and see if you can tell a difference. to match the high gain, I had to turn it almost to 6. Um, that's like almost just as much gain, or it's just this. It's the same amount of gain, but it's not as clear, and I don't hear all the nice sizzle and stuff that this has. I I love that, and that works on every Redstripe, and actually those settings work on the Silver Stripe amps too. Okay, those are the same settings on the Silver Stripe to get the best vintage sound. And which one's better at it? I would say honestly, maybe the Redstripe's better at the Marshall vintage Marshall gain sound, but there's some clarity and stuff with the Silver Stripe that I really like, and I kind of like overdrives on top of the Silver Stripe lead channels, maybe a little bit better. But as far as like straight into the amp stuff, this comes so close to tube amps, and the only difference Peavey was chasing the tube amp sound and just made solid state sound great. Like the tube amps have like a vacuum suction low end like sound pressure difference, and maybe in the top end it's a little bit more saturated. I like dark sounds a little bit. I mean, that really isn't dark. It has a nice top end with sizzle, but like there's a difference. There's a difference, but really it just sounds like some really amazing solid state. Like I've tried the Roland JC20 and I had the Lab series amps and stuff, and yeah, and the crate stuff and all this stuff. Like the Redstripe comes the closest to solid tube sound, tube gain sound, and definitely some overdrive pedals I don't think come close. Like a lot of people use the clean channel, which is insanely good, to put overdrives on top of that to gain, but yeah, I like the gain inside this amp, you know what I mean. Anyway, so we're gonna go to the high. We're still on the high gain channel, but for the high gain sound, okay, and so I put the pre-gain right at 8. So putting it right at 8 adds a little bit more at the top end. Like if I turn it just a little bit lower than 8, it takes off some of the saturation in the top end. I'm serious. You tell me I'm wrong. Try this and tell me I'm wrong. But putting it 8 still doesn't give it so much gain that you hear like some like fizz and like muddy kind of things at the top end. So right at 8 is perfect for some reason, okay? And the T dynamics, I put it almost at 8, like almost 3 o'clock, but backs off just a little bit. And then I'm telling you, if you play and then switch from like right at 3 o'clock and then back it off just right beside that dot, I'm telling you, there's a big difference. It squishes it just a little bit more, takes off a little bit more of the high end, solid state high end, and it comes really freaking close to tube sound for real. Like, anyway, but anyway, it turned that reverb all the way off unless you want to add it. Analog reverb, if you bring it in, it brings in some presence along with some reverb and stuff, but we'll just turn it all the way off. And the highs, I'll just push a little bit more actually than the vintage stuff. So instead of like just right past 6, I'll have it almost at 7. And yeah, and everything else is the same as the vintage gain setting. But Yeah, and I'll show you that. And like I said, amazing. I'm sucking, but I just want to show you that sound. Yeah, I'm telling you, this setting's amazing. Try it out. Tell me I'm wrong in the comments or something. But yeah, so the reason I got this guitar right now, using this guitar in the video, this is a HM Strat from Fender. It's like American, the year that they did the HM Strats in America, and it's got a Telly, pick guard, and freaking love this guitar. Anyway, so it's got a Super 3 DiMarzio, which is a high output for a passive pickup. So the modern channel really only works with like EMGs and like Duncan Invaders and super distortions and stuff. Okay, and you need something like that to really fill out the frequencies of this channel. But if you do that, this is like a solid state boogie amp, and it really freaking is. Like, especially the Redstripe Studio Pro, because this is like a smaller than the Bandit, so it's like in a Princeton sized cab, but it has so much freaking loudness and gain and like craziness. It's just yeah. Anyway, there's so much low end in these amps. Like, there is. It's just amazing. And so we'll talk about dialing in the modern channel if you got some high output. By the way, like, all these settings I'm talking about right now, all these settings seem to work on all the pickups that I'm talking about that I have. Like, I have a guitar with PAFs and humbucker sized P90 pickup, and the same settings that I'm talking about is the same settings that I keep as I'm playing those pickups as well. So I'm feeling like it should work for yours too, hopefully. So the settings on the modern gain, the difference is turn the pre-gain almost to 9. I wouldn't put it all the way up because it does add some, like, I don't know, solid state gainy things. Like, it just muddies up the top end is what it does. Okay, so I back it off. I give it as much as I can, but I back it off to almost 9. Okay, and yeah, that's nice. And then I'll take the lows and turn it all the way up. Now, why would I do that? The reason why I would do that is because of this. I take the mids and I turn them up to almost 7. Okay, and I take the highs and I put them right at 8. And I take the T Dynamics and I turn it down actually to almost 7. It needs a little bit more squishing, in my opinion, the modern channel. So I have it almost at 7. And yeah, reverb all the way down. The reason I had the mids and highs that far up, honestly, is because the modern channel does is just chop the top end and mids out and give you all this low end, keep all that low end. So what you need to do is bring in the mids and highs again. And that's really worked out for me. And yeah, it's like... So I got confirmation that this modern channel is supposed to replicate the Mesa Mark IV with the smiley face, whatever graph or whatever. I mean, equalizer. Okay, the smiley face on the equalizer, the V or whatever. It's supposed to replicate that in a Mesa amp. So, and I think it does a really good job. And like I said, with the size of this cabinet and stuff, I'm just like, yeah, this is the solid state boogie amp. But I'm a huge fan of that high gain channel. It sounds a lot like the ultra channels in Peavey amps. Okay, the high gain channel, and it's a little 5150-ish and stuff like that. So I love the high gain channel, and it's really versatile, just like the ultra channel. The ultra channel, I can get the vintage gain, I can get the 70s rock, I can get the 80s hard rock sound, I can get the metal, I can get the black metal, I can get very doom sounding sounds out of this. I like making doom music with these PV amps, with the solid state stuff in particular. It's like sick. It's like I got two specials, so I have like a 412 that's really just a wall of sound, dude. I got the Redstripe special and the Silver Stripe special, and that tone together just combines to make this, like I said, wall of sound. It's like I said, like the low end is a little different than solid tube amps. With these amps, it's like, it's just more solid, like pow pow, instead of like the kind of air suctiony vacuum, like I said, bottom end of tube amps. And there's the top end is a little different or whatever, but it's insane how close they get. They come closer, especially I'm talking about in the room, coming out of guitar speakers, come closer than any digital solution I've tried. And I've tried I got the Boss ME90 right here, right? But for different reasons, I just like it. But the Helix stuff and the Axe 8, and I've tried the Kemper, that, like, no digital solution I've tried like comes as close as this stuff still. So whatever. And I haven't really tried the PV Vipers or whatever. I've tried the Katanas and stuff. Like I said, this comes closer than the Katana, and in my opinion. Anyway, so that's how I'm dialing in. Okay, we'll do real quick the clean channel. Even with pedals, I don't turn the T dynamics all the way to 100 usually. I'm usually squishing it just a little bit. But you can hear more of the effects and stuff, and it's more open, of course, sounding on 100. But we're talking about making a good tube sounding clean sound with this amp. And I love the cleans. God, I love the cleans on these. PV cleans, I love them. Anyway, so I turned the T dynamics almost to 10 or whatever on the first dot, right under it, not on it, or like way or all the way off. I turn it up almost under 1. Okay, and I'll have the reverb like high as crap because I love reverb. And just like the vintage gain settings, I'll have the highs right past 6, right after the dot on 6. Then right on the mids, I'll have right before 6. And then the lows right before 9. And the volume, whatever. But and we're going to the lace sensor right now. So really, I'm going to turn the highs a little bit higher to almost 7. So some of it does depend on pickups and whatnot. But yeah. And I'm pushing the highs a little bit because I got the T dynamics way down, which is taking off a lot of top end and compressing it and giving it some boldness, like tube boldness. And anyway, so. deluxe reissue, and I didn't know about the bright cap and stuff like that. But anyway, I like this amp better than I liked that amp. Okay, it's like a solid state boogie, but it's also my solid state Fender Deluxe. You know what I'm saying? I love it. Anyway, it has very tubes sounding cleans, and it does click closer to the Fender Deluxe sound in the vintage, the brighter channel, which is the vintage clean. I'm a better guitar player than that. I just want you to hear the sound. But yeah, and we'll go back to the modern, which I usually keep it at. It just has more low end, and it is it's not as bright or whatever, but I'll just like it better. And when I'm using pedals, I keep it on the modern, all right, and yeah. So yeah, like holy crap, dude, that just amazes me. It sounds so tube to me, and you can tell it sounds a little dirty because I have the T dynamics all the way down, which is clipping it, giving it some asymmetrical clipping, whatever. But I'm not a very clean player, or in the sound either. So anyway, so like I said, I'm new to this whole thing, but I'm trying to be a little bit more professional. And yeah, hope you guys liked it.